We are live on Jeanette Lenoir with ePluribus America, and you are joined here on EPA Live. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm very excited to be here today because it's all about the wacky tobacco, or the devil's lettuce, or ganja, or pot, or dope, or whatever you want to call it. This little green leaf has been, has really been in a green rush. And by that, I mean the cannabis industry is growing exponentially, especially here in the DMV area. And so I'm really, really excited to have a pioneering figure in the cannabis industry, Jay Mills, to join us and talk about the industry, what they're facing, and what she's doing as a cannabis operator and educator in the field, and how she encourages. So, Jay Mills, thank you so much for joining me on ePay Live.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited to have you too. Okay, I wanted to let folks know a little background about Jay Mills. Jamila Hogan, she goes by Jay Mills. She is the founder of Ebony Green Society. She is a cannabis content creator, author, performing artist, community organizer, and an educator. She's also the host of Past the J podcast. Jay is a cannabis pioneer, as I said earlier, because she's the first Black woman to manage a cultivation center on the East Coast, which is such a huge deal because you have to have a license to have that, right?
Well, I if I own the cultivation.
You own the cult. Okay, but to cultivate, don't you have to have a license?
No, you actually don't, surprisingly.
Really? Oh, okay. So you became the first Black woman to manage a cultivation center.
Yes. And
How did that happen? Tell me about that.
it was really a blessing as I speak to students that how I stressed to them being ready.
Oh no.
Oh, it
Oh,
was a call out of
okay.
being ready and staying ready. I would expect for a person to start a called
Your audio is breaking up a little bit.
is this better?
Yeah, that's better.
I was at a convention that it was for ASA, Americans for Safe Access. And this is an
Hmm.
organization that is focused on people having safe access to the plant.
Hmm.
All of the persons who were interested, this is in 2013, who
Hmm.
were interested in getting a legal license in the medical industry were all there. I could count on my hands out of the thousands of people who attended how many were people of color.
Hmm.
Um, I had a conversation. I had my elevator pitch ready. At that point, I just knew I loved the plant. And if there were positions that were opening that would allow me to professionally work with this plant, I wanted it. Who knew that my legacy experience was exactly the experience that they needed for me to have the position that I did.
Yeah.
So the rest is history.
And where are you located?
I'm in DC.
You're in DC. So is your cultivation center,
The
or
cultivation center is in DC, but again, it wasn't mine. I was not the owner. I did not get the license for cultivation. But as you
Mhm.
pointed out, the people who do the gardening, who do the planting, who do the growing, who are caretaking for these plants, they don't have to have a license like a barber or a hairstylist or, you know, in farming, you have to have certain licensure to grow agricultural at this corporate level, but in
Yeah.
cannabis.
I see. Well, let's play a video to show folks, give folks a little idea of who you are and what you do. I mean, you look very modest, but there's a lot of power hiding behind your hijab. Not that
Thank you.
hijabs are powerful; they are, but I'm just saying there's a or there.
What's up? It's your girl, J Mills, coming at you live and direct with another Cannabis PSA. That's right. If you didn't know, now you know. The DC plant count for cultivation centers has been lifted to unlimited. However, they have not expanded the testing regulations to allow for patients to have safe access to medicine in the nation's capital. What am I talking about? I'm talking about what is your cannabis testing as? By not having this testing, what does this mean? What's the current standard of testing in DC? Well, it's TLC testing, or thin line chromatography, and this has an error margin of 20%. It could be 10% more or 10% less than the number that is given. So let's say your cannabis tests at 15%. It could be 5% or it could be 25%. So if I'm a producer, I could say it's 25%, when in all reality, it might just be 5. And that is what is in the market right now. So when you see the cannabis that says it's 27%, 30%, 31%, 32% THC, you should question that.
So let's question that.
Yes.
That's really surprising. And why do you think it's important for people to know this?
I mean, cannabis education in general is important so that people can make informed decisions about how they're medicating. We don't go to alcohol and look for the highest alcohol percentage,
Mhm.
you know. But when it comes to cannabis, for whatever reason, people are choosing their consumer decisions based on this THC level. So without any type of check and balance in widespread. They have all of these different testing collusions that are coming out with these testing companies that are being paid extra to render results of a higher THC potency simply because they feel that sales and pricing can change based upon this number. Um, it's unfortunate, especially as it comes to perhaps something that is labeled as being CBD, high in CBD, when it actually isn't. They're lying on the ratio between the THC and CBD to, again, change the price tag on their plant.
Yeah.
Um, for patients, I just find it, again, a sign that we aren't really informed, because you would question if they're telling you that this 1 gram of medicine, that over a third of it is this THC. Like, you're telling me that a third of this plant, this gram that I'm holding, is nothing but oil. You should be
Yeah.
able to, it would look different.
Yeah.
The plants that really truly are testing up that high are very distinct.
Mhm.
And that medicine is indeed very powerful. But do you actually need that much medicine? Again, I go back to
Mhm.
alcohol. I don't have to drink Everclear to get drunk. You could get drunk off wine at very low alcohol percentages. Some people get drunk off beer.
Yeah.
Tequila, whiskey, rum, all of those are coming in at 40% alcohol. So it is not just intrinsically linked that simply because something is high, that it is also good.
Yeah.
That's the crux
Yeah.
of my education.
But they're allowed to manipulate the numbers legally.
Yes, I mean, and this really goes into all across the board. Like, for instance, with food, food has a very wide error margin that is okay. If and it makes sense. If I'm eating a chocolate chip cookie, they can't guarantee how many chocolate chips are in this cookie. So if it happens to have more chocolate chips than not, then the entire nutritional value changes. It has more sugar. It and something also the opposite. Maybe this one only got 2 chocolate chips in the cookie. So it doesn't have as much. What they are telling you and what they have to tell you and how accurate they have to be is not as accurate as we think. But you and I, I'm sure we remember when nutritional facts became a thing,
Yeah.
when they forced fast food restaurants to actually give you these nutritional facts. Before that, we were just eating and consuming, and we had
Yeah.
no idea how
Yeah.
many calories were in this supersized drink, or were in this Big Mac.
Yeah.
And
But the same regulation is not applied in the cannabis industry. As a matter of fact, there seems to be wiggle room for being deceptive.
very
Uh,
much,
yeah.
especially in DC. As I said in that video, the type of testing that they are currently used, that testing standard, there are other tests that
Hmm.
would give you more information. Word to Maryland, where you actually do get to know the terpene profile of the flowers that you buy from a dispensary, and they can't tell you that in DC. And
Hmm.
without that terpene information, you don't
Yeah.
really know the medicine that you're consuming. Again, that's like going in a liquor store, and the best thing they can do is tell you that it's dark and it's 40%.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
but what
Yeah.
is it?
Right. And let's watch the rest of this video because you talk more about another type of testing.
Yes.
What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl, J Mills, coming at you live and direct with another Cannabis PSA. Today, talking about phenotypes. I realized when I was in the dispensary yesterday, shout outs to National Holistic Dispensary, located at 1718 Connecticut Avenue, Northwest DC. Shopping there, and I noticed that you had Cherry Kim number 7, Cherry Kim number 10, Cherry Kim number 11. You got Copper Kim. You got District Cannabis with the Lemon Royale. They did it before with Savage Squeezins, presenting 4 different phenotypes. Now, I need to give information because I realize that a lot of customers don't understand what phenotypes mean and what's really happening. And because in DC, you don't know what terpenes are present in your medicine, you're kind of buying blind. And because you're buying blind, these producers are taking advantage of your ignorance, presenting you with these different things with the name that they know that you like, and they put a different number on there, which makes you think that there's something related. So let's talk about phenotypes. Well,
Phenotypes. What
Yeah.
are phenotypes?
Yes, phenotypes are beautiful with this plant. It is similar to, you have parents, right? I have parents. I also have siblings.
Hmm.
I am not my sister or my brother,
Hmm.
even though we have the same parents.
Yeah.
Even if I had a twin, we would still be completely different people. So a phenotype is a strain that comes from the same parent but is grown by seed. Now, if you were to cut a clone from a plant, then more
Hmm.
likely than not, you would have a very extremely similar plant to which what you cut it from. And I say extremely because, different growing types, different mediums. If you were to take me and I were to be the same person, but I grew up in Russia, I would
Hmm.
be different. I might even be a different complexion. My hair, there will be differences simply because I grew up in a completely different climate than if I grew up in Kenya.
Hmm.
That being said, when you got a phenotype, you have to recognize that this is a completely different plant
Hmm.
from its parents and from its siblings.
I see. And that's important because of the way that these really all the different chemicals that are going into the marijuana plant because it's not as herbal as it used to be because of an attempt to make it more potent. And so they're constantly, uh, I think the term is geoengineering or they're engineering marijuana. And some of the issues that folks have talked about is them being laced with harsher drugs like even fentanyl. Can you talk a
Mhm.
little bit about that?
Once upon a time when they were ending prohibition, the United States government poisoned the alcohol, and it was said that you could die by drinking bootlegged liquor.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's related. I just find it interesting that in history they did that. Many people died, and there was this
Yeah.
whole story about bathtub gin and staying away
Yeah.
from it. And then later, in declassified information, it came out that the United States purposefully poisoned to drive people to the legal and controlled market. And now we
Mm-hmm.
see fentanyl being sprinkled on black market flowers.
Yeah. So you think
That's,
you think there might be some sort of conspiracy there
I
with
mean,
this whole thing?
would our government really purposefully poison people?
They're perfect. They're perfect. No, I'm joking.
Oh man, it's like thinking that, like they would actually
Yeah.
destroy a water system in Philadelphia or Flint, Michigan, like, what?
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
That's
Or,
preposterous.
yeah, or all these medical experiments, the Tuskegee Airmen experiment, and so the syphilis experiment. They've done plenty of experimenting on our behalf, but
I'm
with
just,
our name. So
you know,
and what it's funny because you also have a podcast. You have the Pass the J podcast where
yeah.
you bring folks together and you talk about basically the business of cannabis, and you work to encourage people to join this industry. Why is that important? Talk to me a little bit about the podcast, but why is it important to galvanize and influence, especially Black, Indigenous people of color, to really take a shot at creating their own generational wealth by joining this industry?
Yes, I'm heavy on the be the change you want to see and tell
Mm,
your story. The ancient gift that we have of storytelling in our own voices with our own mediums for the people to have an actual documentation of who we are and what we do, a statement of our intellectual property that exists
mhm,
for others to see. As it comes to people of color in cannabis content creating, a lot of us are being deleted, a lot of our platforms are being taken off, and it is an act of rebellion just to share your story, just to share your product, just to talk about it. So I'm happy to just have these experiences, these events, these shows, this programming that is constantly giving us a space to share our opinions, tell our stories, and
mhm.
promote ourselves.
Yeah. And speaking of promoting yourselves, can you give us a little bit information about the medical marijuana bill that's currently, kind of going through some its own legal challenges? So, can you give us an update on the Medical Cannabis Amendment Act?
Currently, the Medical Cannabis Amendment Act
Mhm.
is um, it's being pushed through to start on May 1st.
Okay.
Um, there are a lot of interesting things that are parts of this bill.
Mm,
Um, they made great marks to appear inclusive while also placating the rights and demands of the medical big market.
mhm,
We have a few businesses that are independently owned, but we have others that are very much owned and operated by large MSOs.
mhm,
Um, there are states that did it right, that are doing it right, that are making sure to preserve the legacy market and
mhm,
give them a true chance to transition into the legal side. Um, I think that they could have done better with allowing for that platform and that transition space. Um, what I think is going to happen based upon the legislation as it is written is that we're going to see something very similar to California, where the legacy market is going to have to pretty much cease and desist with its operations until their licenses are approved. Um, in New York and New Jersey, that was not always the case.
mhm,
With there being a period of amnesty, with there
mhm,
being a period given for you to receive a conditional license, versus what has been the case, such as with DC, where you have to acquire real estate and pay bills on this real estate while you wait years for your application to be approved. This is
mhm,
quite a barrier to entry for many people who can't afford to, number one, have bought this real estate, have it equipped up to the standard as if it were about to open, and then wait months or years before you can actually operate in this space. So we'll see how
yeah.
things go.
Yeah,
They are given priority of
yeah.
certain applications to social equity applicants, while at the same time holding a large number of new license categories only for those who already possess a medical cannabis license. So
Mm,
it is performative largely, with
hmm.
many illusory promises
Yeah,
that we don't know we don't know when they'll actually be delivered upon.
yeah,
Whereas the opportunities that exist for those who do already have a license are going to allow them almost to operate without any competition for
yeah,
a year or more or
yeah.
two.
What about the new rule that designates 50% of certain licenses to be set aside for equity applicants and existing medical cannabis operators in perpetuity? Is that enough? It went from
Um,
100 to 50%. But,
I mean, 50% is nice, but again, why limit it to certain licenses? Why not all?
well,
Why not?
there's the medical marijuana is basically they have more leeway. They're winning in this green rush, and so that leaves gifting shops, I-71 shops behind because these medical marijuana shops are they have the backing of the federal government, and also
Mhm.
majority of them are run by by Caucasians, by white folks, and so the whole generational wealth issue is makes it even more important that uh, these I-71 shops and or gifting shops get to operate legally and fully, because they also have a mission attached to it, which is building generational wealth, putting some brakes on gentrification that's happening in the DC area. And so there's a real mission behind this marijuana movement.
Yeah, I encourage people to let their voices be known, to really take the time to read not just our bill, but other bills that are currently working. See other plans that have worked, plans that started and maybe didn't work, plans that is what you say that you want and they're already in motion so you can see. Well, what happened with Oklahoma when the application fee was $25 and there was no cap?
Hmm.
What happened in Detroit when it was $50 for social equity applicants? What's happening in Canada, in Toronto,
Hmm.
where there's no cap and such? What's happening in Oregon, where
Yeah.
there was a huge social equity push, a lot of precedence given, and again, no cap. There are things that will change. You can't have your cake, I suppose, and eat it too. But without the licensure, we're kind of operating with no cap. I see pop up I-71 compliant places that are practically next to each other. There are certain streets where you have dozens of these shops and they're not operating in secret. They have their signs out openly. You know exactly what they are doing. Um, this is already happening, so it is a good step that they one lifted the cap. That
Mhm.
that to me was a no brainer. We never had a cap on liquor stores on the street.
Mhm.
I use the example often of coming up in a section of Benning Road where there were four liquor stores just right there in this block.
Yeah.
So we deserve the opportunity to have healing plant stores, to have access to
Mhm.
sorry, to have access to this medicine as
Yeah.
plentiful as we like. And this is America, indeed. I see gas stations across the street from each other. You got a McDonald's, a Wendy's, a KFC, and a Burger King
Yeah.
right there. This is America. If you are successful in the business, there will be many people who are just gonna hop on and may the best man win.
It's interesting how you refer to it, and I know that you deliberately do that. You refer to marijuana as medicinal, and I've heard you say that in other conversations as well. Does that remove the stigma from it being marijuana? Because there's a little disrespect on weed's name. It always is
Yeah.
attached to something nefarious, something negative, in spite of all the the positive and medicinal benefits of this plant. I mean, they've used it in pediatric medicine. They've seen positivity and people effect, react positively. So, the medicinal benefits are clear, and yet it still has this stigma to it. Is that why you make a point to kind of address it as a healing medicine and not just weed?
Yes.
Hmm.
Always medicine. It's always medicine. And I use that word to address the huge disparity that is in my community as it comes to mental health,
Mm,
and the disconnect that we have in understanding the effects that come with PTSD, with depression, with anxiety, and with the realities of growing up Black in America. We don't have the luxury of therapy. In many cases, we are self-medicating, we are self-diagnosing, and we are conducting self-therapy without even knowing it. So I think that the first step is to look at this as medicine, where I did use an analogy with alcohol and not knowing if you went into a liquor store and they just said, hey, this is white liquor at 40%, and you don't know if it's gin or vodka. But at the same time, alcohol can be medicine too. It is the largest ingredient in most of your cough syrups. If you need an antiseptic and you need to wipe a cut, that's alcohol. So even cocaine has
mm,
true medicinal uses. But as with anything, food is medicine. Food can heal you.
yeah,
But if you don't, it can also harm you. All of these things can harm you while they
yeah.
can also heal you. If you
Hmm.
abuse it, if you don't use it in moderation, if you are getting the wrong type, or you you can harm yourself. But that does not change the fact that it is medicine.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like how you mentioned the mental health aspect of it too, because I do hear a lot about people using it to treat so many, issues that they face, especially depression and mental health issues. One statistic that's somewhat troubling is that 98% of marijuana arrests are Black and brown people, but only 2% are owners in the cannabis industry. Are we being purposely left out of the industry? I mean, there's clear data showing the disparities. That's showing what's really happening on the ground, and
Hmm.
yet there's the legislation isn't really addressing the need of Black, Indigenous people of color who want to get involved in this business. So, what does the future of cannabis look like in DC and or the DMV area? What does it look like to you?
I think the future is very brown. It's very black, brown, and tan. It is a return of an industry to the minorities who are actually the majority of this
Mhm.
planet Earth.
Yeah.
Um, and it also will be the ultimate answer for us as the majority people who are
Mhm.
called minorities, to see what will we do for ourselves
Yeah.
if the bars are lifted and we are now free.
Hmm.
What will we choose to do?
Hmm.
Will we choose to be owners? Will we choose to pursue these opportunities? And if not, we have just ourselves to blame. Nature abhors a vacuum. A very wise man told me this many years ago, and I see and understand what he means. If we are not properly positioned to take advantage, to learn about the nuances of opening a business and just how much it can cost, then ignorance of the law is no excuse of the law. I do think that there's a lot of us that are getting the message, that are positioning ourselves properly, that are reading the fine print and knowing how to maneuver so that you're not caught up and written up for things that prior to this legislation were not illegal. Well, now you're unlicensed because these licenses exist. So we have a chance, we do, to really be a shining example for how this plant can transform and better an entire community, an entire city, an industry, an economy.
And you're really taking a lead in this, which is really great. Let's watch the rest of this video and go into what you do.
What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl J Mills coming at you live direct with another episode of Pastor J Approved. Sitting here is me and my connoisseur crew with the CEO of Stribble's Treats. We're here with LaWan Stribbling, her amazing assortment of goods, and we're gonna take a moment to deep dive into her brand.
Another day in the struggle. Waking up and I'm feeling like fuck you, mad at this world that hates black girls and rapes black queens and kills black kings, and everybody else got justice, all except us. Mad at the RBG, red for my blood, black for my peeps, green for the grass underneath my feet. Mad cause they poison in the air I breathe, and the food I eat, and the fish and the sea, and the birds and the bees and the fruit and the meat and milk and the whole TVC I see mass insanity, and I'm battling for humanity. Dolphin, whales, and manatees, and young black minds with self-esteem. We fighting not to go extinct. I hear them screaming, I can't breathe. Drown our pain in drugs and drinks and disrespect our own black queen. See, I'm mad that you love my fat ass, but you don't love black. Hands up and you shoot us in the back. Old girl gets the knee to the neck, and a boy with a toy got shot to death. Yes sir, no sir, watch your step. Skittles in the tea can cost your breath, cost your life. Wrong is right, so we living in a world where wrong is right, cause we lost our sight and forgot our might. Why they so afraid of strong black pride? Why we let these teachers teach these lies? Why they put these chemtrails in our sky? See, I'm mad and I'm angry and I'm hurt, and see, I'm in pain, and I just don't understand how many times we gotta ask them to stop shooting us, man. What the fuck? It's obvious that they want us to die, so I'm mad, and yes, I'm angry, and yes, we hurt, and yes, we are in pain, and it's just so frustrating. It's like every day I found out about another murder and another murder. Man, hold up. Un momento, silencio, lo siento. Te amo, besos a mi gente, hermosa morena. Ahora the DR is bananas, it's muy loco. Yo no comprendo how my people can lose the focus. It's like colonialism did this magic hocus pocus. We fight amongst each other instead of the one who wrote this. If you're not a European speaking English, French, or Spanish, you know who did damage, who just took advantage, who fucked up the planet. We keep on pressing self-destruct like they give a fuck. Only thing they try to stop is when we moving up, but we turn it up, we turn it down. Anything that's good about black and brown, and it's black on black crime all around. How many gotta die before we make a sound? Cause we killing us and they killing us. My soul is tired, I had enough, and all my life I had it rough. Everybody I know got scrapes and cuts. Well, what you gonna do? My life was fucked up too, just like you. Die or choose to fight to prove the might of the truth in the eyes of our youth. Cause see, they are mad and they are angry and they so hurt and they are in pain, and we just got one question, man. Why do you keep shooting us? See, we are mad and we are angry.
We are mad and we are angry. I thought this song was so powerful, so poignant, so well delivered. You were in the back of an Uber. Tell us about that moment and how did this song come to life?
Man, I was on the phone with a friend of mine. Shout outs to my homegirl Nina Leon. Man, at that time she was living in Japan. Her husband was in the military, and I was just venting about life in the States and just all of the stress and just the food is killing us, and the police are killing us, and we are killing us, and they killing the animals. It's just, and she was
Yeah.
like, you know what? You need to write this down. You need to just take all of this anger, because it's just, and put it on the paper.
Yeah, and that's what you did. Hmm.
That's what it was. It came so easily. It's just literally how I feel. Another day in the struggle.
Yeah, and, and it matters today. I hope it can reach more ears and that it goes a little further. And let's talk a little bit about Ebony Green. You are also the founder of Ebony Green, which is so exciting. Tell us a little bit about it.
So I was looking to understand crypto. It,
Hmm.
I'm the type of person, I'm just like a geek for things. I gotta know why. And in this case, to truly understand crypto, it led to me creating my own cryptocurrency,
Yeah.
Green.
Mhm.
Um, I plan on starting more, and I help
Yeah.
people learn how to start their own and understand what crypto is and how it can work for you, and just really what finances are, what an illusion the financial world is, how they can manipulate stocks with internal transactions. But this is largely unknown to us because we're rarely operating from the owner's perspective. So you don't get to see the back office and know
Yeah.
how these transactions are read by a banking computer and how you can capitalize off of this, even if it was just a coin that you created for yourself, for your family, or for your business internally. You don't have to go viral. You don't have
Yeah.
to go like Sheba. You could just use this as a way to keep your money instead of keeping your money in a bank. You're the bank. And just like that,
Yeah.
you
I
created
think
your
We are mad and we are
I apologize. I'm having the whole show up. I'm sorry. But I want to know a little bit more about I completely they should let me go. I don't belong here. I'm just joking. But I wanted to show a little bit about you also have merchandise beyond just your work. You have merchandise. You also have a private women's group that you guys travel with. I mean, you're really growing, which is so exciting. And
Thank
I'm really happy for you. So, and I'll make sure we have all of that information on our website so folks can know how to reach you and support what you do. But tell us a little bit about the how your business is growing, and also you're selling NFTs.
Yes, I do have an NFT store online.
Hmm.
I was doing the NFTs for people to come to my events and also to support local growers. Um, and just again showing people how to not get left behind in this digital
Yeah,
revolution that is happening. How we can't be uh, illiterate to Web3 and all of the different dynamics that it possesses. So again, eGreen was created to be a learning tool so you understand how the blockchain works, how to acquire crypto. And this
mhm,
NFT is like, I'll give you my NFT for free just so you know how to set up an
yeah,
account, how to store these in your wallet, where do you even get NFTs from, and how do
mhm,
you invest in this aspect of the future.
yeah. Well, we've reached the end of the segment, and we like to end with a question of the day. And so, your question of the day, Jay Mills, is actually, you know what? Let me add you know, my other slide here, and I'm going to go straight to it. Um, Question of the day: is it a good move for Prince Harry to attend King Charles's coronation without his wife, Meghan Markle?
Um, all for one and one for all, I guess. I mean, unless it was her choice to stay home, and in that case, sure. But if it was like a request, like they only invited him, then
Yeah.
no.
They invited them both. She declined because of obviously all the stuff. But do you think it's a good move for him to be like, I gotta go? Is he making a choice? Is he crossing a line? Because like you said, one for all. Like once you have a family, don't you side with your family and you kind of release your other family and say, this is my family now, and she this is what we do. So you think it depends on how she feels about it.
I guess perhaps maybe then it is a bit of a cultural ideal. There are some that feel like, once you get married, this is your family now. And then there are others that would not look kindly upon a spouse that forced
Mhm.
you to choose between them and your family,
Yeah,
that
you're right.
asks you to make that choice and puts that kind of pressure on you. That's a lot right there.
Yeah, that's a lot. Well, there's plenty more to come, I'm sure, with these two. But Jay, thank you so much for joining me. It was such a pleasure to have you. I wish I could talk to you even longer, but all your information will be on eplurbusamerica.com website so folks can hear you. I also wanted to say you've got some upcoming events. You've got
I do.
420 events coming up, and you'll also be performing the day after that, which I'm really excited and happy for you. So I'll make sure that that is also on our website
Thank you.
for folks to know about and reach out to you if they want to join your 420 pub crawl across DC.
Yes.
Right. Okay, great. All right. Well, thank you again. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. This
Any
was
last words for folks out there about the work you do? Anything else you'd like to add before you go?
hashtag pass the J.
Hashtag Pastor J. That's
Yeah,
right. All right. Well, let us know when you have another podcast coming up.
I will. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
All right. Bye
All
bye.
right. Bye. And so now we have, let's see, the incredible Atibon. How are you? How are you? It's always such a treat to have you. Welcome, Atibon. I had all my papers with me, but they all fell, so I got to get down and actually get them. Atibon, I'm so happy to have you. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me here on EPA Live. It is a sincere pleasure to have you. But before I introduce Atibon Nazire to you folks, I want to let you know that Atibon is also a family friend. We've known each other for a long time. And he is an award-winning actor and performer. Oh, I can't hear you're muted. Can't hear you.
Okay.
Okay, there
Hi.
you go. Hi.
Greetings.
How are you? There you are. There you are. And so I was
I
saying,
am
Atibon,
well.
wonderful. Atibon is an award-winning actor and performer who lives in Brooklyn, one of our favorite Brooklynites. His
Yeah.
body of work includes films like FBI, Fade to Black, the Trigger Effect, Gabriel, and Mountains, which the trailer of that was just recently released. And his passion also for his Haitian culture and heritage led to the creation of Voodoo Child and Brooklyn Loves Haiti. His merchandise you can purchase on Etsy. His new film, Mountain, is about a Haitian demolition worker who is faced with the realities of redevelopment as he is tasked with dismantling his rapidly gentrifying neighborhood, which is so interesting because I was talking to my first guest about gentrification a little bit. So this kind of fits right in. But welcome again, Atibon. I'm so excited to have you. You've got a film coming out, Mountain. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Um, Mountain. Well, hi. Thanks for having me. Like you said in the intro, I'm not just a friend of the family. I'm family. In fact,
Yeah, right.
your family was the first family to welcome me when I moved to New York. Um, oh wow, that was 16 years ago.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
We attended
That's,
both. We attended former President Obama's inauguration. Remember, my dad had his big.
yes, yes. When your dad moved to DC,
Yeah,
yeah, I stayed with you and we went to see Angelique Kidjo
that's right.
in one of the balls. My brethren Harvey, who you
That's
met there, who I introduced you to. She's from Suriname as well.
that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
That's where you met with Harvey.
that's right. Oh no.
Film was shot in Miami last summer,
Okay.
and it was, one of the hottest recorded summers Miami ever had. And we were on location for what, 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
We shot that one. Um, as you said in the intro, it's the Haitian immigrant faced with gentrification, and having to demolish the home of his dreams. It was one of the most pleasant uh, experiences I've had as an actor, with a wonderful crew, wonderful cast. It was, I've created a new family for me in Miami, with all these beautiful people who love and supported me, throughout the 5 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that sounds
we're premiering this Tribeca this coming festival. I think that's
okay.
in June. Yeah.
Okay, that's exciting. Well, let's
Yeah, I'm
watch. Let's
excited.
watch the trailer and
Okay.
show folks what we are talking about here.
Okay. Where'd
I
you
know.
find this picture?
Neges. Pendant ce travail après-midi, on bel petit cahier avant. Il t'a fait bien en pile.
Qui ça c'est pas moi
Bon, n'est pas à la tour ici. Besoin d'espace, silence. Les îles des petits. Il va avoir un problème. Mais j'ai long que boire jamais baisser à combien. Une pièce pour faire goûter. La bonne la salle pour casser
Comment on a fait payer?
Et tu comme la série.
Good morning.
C'est le vétéran à faire et puis on a souvent ça à faire. Faut tirer ça fait.
Say it again.
What? We good, bro.
Yeah, it is.
You
It's
did
such.
some homework.
When I see you on the screen, I'm like, oh my god, that I can't help but be proud. I'm so proud of you, the work you do.
Thank
I
you.
know how hard you've worked, and all you name it. Everywhere you've traveled, even raising a
Yeah,
family as you chased your
yeah,
dreams. So just to see
yeah.
you be able to gather some of the fruits of your labor is sincere joy to experience, and so I'm just really proud of you. Um, and I
Thank
wanted to
you.
ask you, what sparked, before I go into all the merchandising that you now sell, what sparked your interest in acting?
Um, it so I came from a family of performers, from of artists, actors, dancers, writers, painters, you know, um, raconteurs, I remember, in fact, my grand uncle, um, is, starred in one of the longest sitcoms in Haitian TV. You know, I've always had a penchant for the arts and particularly acting. I remember my freshman year in college, um, one of my professors told me, um, what was my vision. I said, well, I want to go to med school. And she said, I don't see you as a doctor, but you should really pursue theater. And I was young Haitian, under uh, the the influence of my community and my parents. I wanted to be a doctor. You know, it was just an idea, but in
Mhm.
my heart of hearts, you know, I, I'm an artist. I was an artist, so I struggle with that, and
Hmm.
eventually, I did some stuff. I took some acting classes. Did some partook in a few plays, what have you. And I remember I was doing a program. I went to Boston College, right? I was doing a program, an MSW MBA at Boston College, and I was struggling with that. I did a practicum at a bachelor's intervention program, and I got turned off completely by this whole being a social worker shit, you know. and again, I was doing it for a noble cause. I wanted to do it for my community.
Right.
Since I had given up on the dream. No, it wasn't even a dream. The idea of being a doctor, right? You know. Uh, but even while I was doing that, um, I was playing music. I was playing music. I was doing some fashion stuff. I was an artist. And struggling to be something that my heart, didn't. My heart wasn't excited about. So while I was doing the program at BC, I decided, you know what? Let me take one more acting class, right? I hadn't taken one, in a while. So I took an acting. I can't remember what class it was, but it was an acting class at Boston
Mhm.
College, and so I was paired with a kid, with this, this other student. So we could work, outside of the classroom, and for some reason, um, this guy would never free up with me. With theater, with acting, you have to be able to be vulnerable.
Hmm.
You have to be able to be naked, literally and figuratively. Um, and this guy, for some reason, he was never able to free up with me. Mind you, I was the only black person in the class. You
That
know,
might have something to do with it. Just an idea.
Exactly.
In
So,
Boston, I'm joking. I'm just joking.
so the guy was never for some reason he never freed up with me. So consequently, I was not able to produce any good work.
Hmm.
Right. Meanwhile, he was working with other kids, and they were doing their shit, da da da. And for me, with me, I didn't have time to practice with other people because, I was doing a graduate thing, and so like I said, consequently, never was I able to produce any good work in class. And one day, the professor told me that I didn't belong in that particular class, that they were professional actors, that I should go to a community college to take acting lessons classes. Mind you, this is Boston College, you know, pseudo Ivy League school,
Hmm.
what have
Yeah.
you. The fire in me I could have just spewed fire on her, and I could have raised hell, upon hearing the shit that she spewed on me. Oh, you don't belong here, da da da. I just packed up my stuff and left the program also.
Hmm.
I said Boston College, whatever I said to Boston College, and the goody goody degree, masters in bullshit. And I went home. I sank into a depression. I sank into a depression, and I was having a good taste for the trade,
Hmm.
and the art form.
Yeah.
And my neighbor, I was in a bad depression where, I thought I was going crazy. All I was able to do was for a while was smoking. I used to smoke camels back then.
Oh, the camel
Smoking my,
cigarettes.
yeah, smoking my camels and drinking tea.
And
Cam-
collecting camel dollars, where you because they had the camel dollars too.
exactly. I was smoking my camels and drinking tea a lot, bad depression. So one day, my neighbor, Bill Singleton, I love this man to pieces. He asked me if he could use my apartment to shoot a scene for his movie,
Hmm.
right? I said, well, in fact, yeah, I'm going to Vermont. You should take, here are the keys. So I gave him the keys. I still am in my depression. I'm going to a cabin that, my family owned in Vermont.
Yeah.
So I gave him the keys, went to Vermont, uh, chilled in the apartment, gathered myself, figured things out, yeah, I was getting ready to pack up and go back home because here I am, having a delicious taste, for performing as an actor, and this
Hmm.
woman just rejected me.
Yeah.
This is the biggest rejection I've ever experienced in my life, and fundamentally, my um, first very serious experience at racism.
Yeah.
So, so I'm in the mountains, in the lake house, by myself for a few days, you know. So upon returning to Boston, I'm pulling in and I saw, there's, a film set outside, I live in a it's almost like a little cul-de-sac, but it's short, very street in the Roxbury South End neighborhood of Boston.
Yeah.
And I saw my brethren, Bill, livid, going crazy, blah, 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 going nuts. I'm like, bro, what's going on? What is so bad? He said, this actor, I already paid him to come do this scene for me, and 3 hours late, it's been over 3 hours, it's late. He hasn't even bothered to call me. And he said, can you try to do this scene for me? I
Hmm.
said, sure. And little that he knew that I was training, taking, classes while I've you at Boston College, and I had been rejected by an acting professor. He didn't know that. So I said, well, give me the sides, give me the script. I read my thing. I said, give me a few minutes, you know, to um to work on it. So he gave me a few minutes, and after what seemed like 15, 20 minutes, I don't know how long I took. I said, I'm ready. Let's shoot. We shot the scene, and I kicked ass. And he said, "Motherfucker!" Literally, I'm quoting him. He said, "Motherfucker, what are you doing being a social worker? You should be an actor." I said, "Okay, sure, whatever." So after they wrapped up that evening, he
Hmm.
called me and said, "Man, listen, I'm gonna give you a phone number and a name. I need you to call this person, and I need you to have a conversation with him about enrolling in class, um, in theater." I said, "Sure." He gave me the number, and I'm thinking, I'm done with the academic world.
Hmm.
I'm going home to be a farmer, what have you. You know, I'm not
I'd
gonna
love
be
to be a
bothered.
farmer.
Yeah, you tried to be. You were one for a minute.
That is my dream job. I would
Yeah,
love
it's
to be a
it's my
farmer.
dream job now. Yeah, mm, it's my dream job now. So
What a
anyhow,
hmm
you know, a week later, the man called me. Did you call such and such person? I said I changed the conversation. The following week, he called me again and said, "Man, did you call such and such?" I said, "No, I didn't." And I changed the conversation because I'm not ready. I don't want to be in a classroom, you know. So the third week, I said, I don't want this. I don't want Bill to come harass me about calling this person, da da da. So I called the person. I said, here I am. This is who I am. I was referred to you by Bill Singleton, and you know, he suggested that we had a conversation about enrolling in the program. And the guy was the director of the directing program at ART, the American Rep Theater at Harvard. He
hmm
said, well, come on Thursday. I remember it was a Thursday, 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. I said, sure. He said he had 11, he had 10 minutes for me. I said, fine, 10 minutes is fine. He said, bring your portfolio. I had a portfolio with a lot of the other things I was doing between my photography, the music, the whatever I was doing, that was recorded, heralded, whatever. So I went and brought my portfolio to the guy, and he looked at the portfolio, we were talking, and the guy offered me 10 minutes initially. From there, he said, well, let's go have lunch.
Nice.
So we went and had lunch, and after the conversation, he said, I'm quoting him verbatim. He said, "Motherfucker, come to school." So Marcus took me. I'm not gonna mention his last name here.
Oh, that's okay.
Took
Yeah.
me under his wings and showed me the ropes at ART, the American Rep Theater at Harvard.
Hmm.
Um, he took me under his wings and put me in the program. I didn't pay a cent. It just I,
Yeah. So you gotta. It's almost like you were smacked down. Somebody crushed your heart, and
crushed
as
me,
you sat around licking your wound, somebody reached down and pulled you up, which
pulled
is
me up.
yeah, yeah.
Marcus,
That's
Marcus, 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 put me under his wings, and this is where I met John's friend, Phil McHale.
oh, okay.
I met Phil McHale at Harvard.
Oh, very cool. I see.
That's how I met Phil.
Very nice.
That's how I met Phil.
Yeah, that's very cool. Phil is a friend of my father's.
Yeah,
Uh,
beautiful human.
yeah,
That's how I met Phil, and through Phil, I met you guys
yeah.
because I had a movie. Um, I had a short movie that was being screening at Lincoln Center.
Yeah,
My short film was being screened at Lincoln Center, and Phil. I invited Phil because Phil was living upstate, somewhere upstate. He came, and John came, and his ex-wife
yeah.
came. That's how we became family.
I know, right? Well,
That's how we became family.
yeah. Well, speaking of projects, can you?
So let me finish. Let me finish this thought. From this woman, chasing me, rejecting me out of the that class
Oh,
at Boston College, I
mhm.
made the front page of the Harvard Crimson on stage, kicking ass.
Did you send her a copy of it?
No, I wouldn't dignify that woman, not with one fart. Not even with my fart. No, man. I let her. She's a Broadway reject,
You know,
and no,
it's
I didn't bother. My sisters took care of me.
good,
I,
good, good.
no, she's a vulgar. I have nothing to do with vulgarity. So no,
These
I,
are some of the issues a lot of us have to face in life, and especially when there's a racial undertone to it, it makes it that much more uncomfortable because you always think and you hope that we've made such great progress, but then there's certain things that happen that you're like, what's going on? What direction are we really heading here?
exactly.
Why is my existence still an effect? We still have issues, and so
Yeah.
sometimes it shows its ugly head, and it shows up in ways of when somebody breaks your heart and tells you that you don't
Oh, my
belong.
heart was broken.
Totally,
This was
absolutely.
this was one of this
Es-
was a major heartbreak for me. Woof! I had never
Especially,
experienced this such rejection in my life.
well, especially
Woo!
as an artist, artists tend to be more sensitive. I consider myself an artist. I love
You
words.
are.
But I also know that I'm a very sensitive creature, and I get it. So when you are a performer, you're like you said, you
Oh,
have
yeah,
to be naked, and when you
of
get
course.
naked and then you get rejected, and then that rejection
Ah,
is rooted in a really I'm trying to think of the right word, but something that doesn't make sense. Like racism
some
doesn't make
ridiculous thing.
but something like that is the catalyst to that rejection that of the nakedness that you bring to the table. It's incredibly hurtful. It makes no sense.
Oh,
But you
listen.
rose like a phoenix, Atibon. You rose like
Oh,
a phoenix out
oh,
of those
oh no!
ashes.
Listen, listen. She couldn't take me down. I was depressed. That's all. I had the blues. My heart was broken. Blah blah blah. Our ancestors went through more, faced with more formidable bullshit than
Yeah,
my little rejection.
Yeah.
you know, and they still provided for me. They still brought Bill into my life, you know, with his generosity and introduced me to this man who,
Yeah.
you know, was the director of, you know, the directing program, at ART. So, you know, and here I am, you know,
Yeah. And now you've got merchandise. I know that folks can find you on Etsy, but let's look at some of the stuff that you have to offer.
okay.
So you've got this. I have my own booklet too in there.
Ooh, that was
You're
good.
expanding. You've got this
That
one
there's the music in the background. That's loud.
and Voodoo Child.
Yeah.
The Voodoo Child one is pretty exciting too, which is something you have on right now.
Yeah, actually I'm wearing one. I only wear my stuff. In fact, this particular collection was in Vogue, made it in Vogue a couple of years ago before the pandemic, you
That's
know,
very exciting.
and you know, I make everything except for the t-shirts that I don't sew, you know, I screen, I sketch my stuff, you know, I do all the screening on my kitchen table.
It's wonderful. Can you tell me the significance about that design? Is it
This one in
uh,
particular,
yes?
this one is the veve in Haitian Vodou. All the entities,
Mhm,
all the entities have, you know, uh, an iconography, if you will, that,
mhm,
you know, corresponds to you know, who they are, their images, you know, what they represent. This is the iconography of Dambala and Aidawedo. You know, they were the first Vodouns that, you know, Mau and Lisa are the creators of, you know,
mhm,
shared with us. Oh, hold on one second. Okay. Um,
mhm,
they are the Vodouns of science, of intelligence, of wisdom.
mhm.
Yeah, that's
So
what they represent.
talk
They
a little
are,
bit. Yeah, it's they're beautiful. I love how unique your artwork looks. I love it.
yeah.
Talk to us about your Haitian heritage. I know that's such a big part of your identity. You live and breathe
Oh,
Haiti.
absolutely.
You know
You
you
know,
you fight so hard for your country and your countrymen as far as the things you do. You haven't forgotten your home. Although you've lived here most of your life, you haven't
most of
forgotten.
my life, you know,
Yeah,
my accent is as thick as someone who got off the boat 2 weeks ago. No,
that's
it's
right.
amazing. You know, my heart, you know, I could never change the accent, you know.
Yeah.
um no, I could never, even, you know, when I was training again, you know, I had a voice professor. Was saying, you know, maybe I need some help with, you know, with my accent. Da da da. She said, "Man, just chill. Your accent is what makes you magical. It's your magic. It's what idiosyncratic about you." You
Yeah.
know, don't. She said, don't change it. And, you know, I just couldn't change it anyhow. I'm stubborn. It's not, I cannot tie a necktie. I could never change my accent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, I speak English. I mean, clearly, English is my third language, right?
Mhm.
Um, Eloquently, I think, you know, with all modesty. But I
Yeah.
just, my accent, I don't fight it, and it hasn't hindered, you know, anything. You know,
No. So
um,
let's talk about some of your upcoming projects. What do you have coming up? What should folks look out for? I know Mountain will be
Mountain,
this.
Mountain, Mountain.
Mhm.
We premiere this coming Sundance Festival.
Okay.
Um, I have a couple of stuff cooking. They are in post production.
Mhm.
Um, I cannot chat about them too much, but
Okay.
definitely mountains, and you know I have a couple of things that I appear in. Excuse me, on Netflix,
Ooh.
on Amazon Prime, and
Mhm.
I was a regular on a TV series on NBC called No Amsterdam.
Okay.
I did that. We wrapped up this past January. This is the most recent stuff. Oh,
Yeah.
actually, I have an appearance in The Best Man. You
Oh,
remember the
cool.
movie The Best Man? Yeah.
Yeah.
They did a TV adaptation to it.
Yeah.
I'm in episode 4. I played
Okay.
a cab driver in that one.
I saw
It,
I saw
it,
that. I was mad at you. I was like, those people had it first.
yeah, of course, but it wasn't me. It's the cab driver.
Oh, I know. Yes, I know. I totally know. I was joking, but it's
you
so
know,
funny how
it,
when you
I
get
would I would chase that woman to back to great grandfather. If it were me, there are friends would call me and say, "No, man, you should have." I said, "It's not me. I was playing a role." You know.
it's so funny how
Um,
this profession really takes you in. You really become. It's almost like you know them personally. Every character,
of
and that's
course,
why this art
of
form.
course,
The arts are so important. It's so important not to, uh, hurt people and break people's hearts. It's important to create spaces and to protect the spaces where art can happen and not just happen, but flourish.
flourish
It's so
exactly,
important to our humanity. I mean, golly,
absolutely,
it's like the arts bring color to our world. Why would we have
absolutely,
no more color? Anyway, so
absolutely.
here's my other question. So if
Mm.
you could choose an action movie to be in, which one would it be? 007 or Bad Boys, or whichever one? Which one if you could choose any action flick to recreate, which one would you be in?
Man, neither.
Okay. Well, which one? Anyone? Anything? Any action movie?
Action. Well, the only action movie I think and dream about all the time is the action of my ancestors whooping the asses of the French people, the French colonizers. The only action is me on a horse chopping some Frenchman's head.
I see. Something like Django. So you're looking more like Django, where you
Yeah, but more, no, with more dignity. Fuck it. We are the winners. Our African people are the winners in the Haitian Revolution.
yeah.
We didn't have
Well,
any white bullshit, white savior shit. No, none of that shit.
there was a
We
There was a
pardon?
re- recent video making its round that the Polish people had a role in helping liberate the Haitians. They helped
Okay,
them.
this is what happened. So the Polish people came with the Napoleon's army.
Mhm.
They came with the Napoleon to help the French army,
That's right.
and they were treated like shit.
Yeah,
So we just adopted them, and they become Haitian. They became, they join us in the struggle against the fight against the French people.
yeah,
But initially they were brought by the Napoleon to
yeah.
fight against us, and they
Yeah,
defected.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Uh, you know, that is right. But in no way should the Polish people be taking credit for the Haitian Revolution.
Oh
Even
no,
though
no, no.
they defected, that little spin on historical facts is can kind of sway. So it's once again takes away the
The
leadership.
greatness, the greatness of the leadership of our African ancestors. No, man, we brought them. We said, okay, so they deflected. You know, okay, well, come join us and fight. Your enemies too. No, man, this fight was led by black people. Period.
Yeah,
African people, men and women. We
that's right.
were at the helm of the revolution. No, no, no.
I agree. Well, Atibon, we have reached the end of our program, but we like to end with a question of the day. So
Okay,
your question of the day, which I'll go back to FM radio. This is an FM radio question.
okay.
So, as you, maybe you don't know, but I'll let you know. FM radio is basically being removed from new EV, environmentally friendly vehicles. They're,
Really?
manufacturers including Ford, Volkswagen, BMW, Mazda, Volvo, and Tesla are tuning out AM radio for their latest EV models due to alleged interference between electromagnetic frequencies. But mainly the Republicans are saying, wait a second, this is all political. This is a political thing because Republicans like to gather on AM radio, and so
Okay.
there's a lot of programming there. So they think it's a they think it's an attack on their political playing field, and so
Yeah.
but the manufacturers, the makers, these automakers saying no, is simply an interference between electromagnetic frequencies from their motors and AM radio frequencies. So the question,
Uh-huh.
Antibal, is there's a growing trend. So is AM radio dead? The question is there is a growing trend in the auto industry to remove AM radio from new electric vehicles. Is AM radio dead?
I hope not. I really hope not. One thing I didn't. I used to be a radio announcer too.
Me too.
Exactly. We talked about that. I hope not because
Mhm.
there are things to be said about what will happen of the older folks who don't have the EV what do you call it, electric vehicles or whatever. What will happen to them? What happens to? Listen, I hope not.
Yeah. Well, this will
I
only
hope
be in the
not.
course. They'll still be able to have programming on radios or just, in their homes. But yeah, actually, I don't think it's a good idea either. I've worked for AM radio. It's, yeah, there's certainly a conservative space there, large conservative space there. But you're right. Our certain demographics use it more than others. People, in the country. I mean, people love
Exactly.
talk radio, even talk radio is on AM. So much is offered on AM.
Yeah,
I
a
think
lot of the community radio, the immigrant communities, man, they have their radio stations. It's all on AM, what have you,
yeah, public access, like things that
public access. Yeah.
it's very important. So you're saying no, AM
No,
radio
it's
is
it's a,
not dead.
it's a no. In fact, as much as I live green. I'm excited about being green. I'm very green. But what is this? I'm not crazy about electric cars. They bore me, I think. I still love the smell, the odor of petrol. Yeah. I drove a couple of electric cars. What is this? It feels like a vacuum cleaner.
Mhm.
You know.
It's so
So
interesting. I didn't know something new. I didn't know that basically they got rid of the speedometer. I mean, a lot of things are different in
yeah,
AM.
it's not for me. I'm not ready yet to surrender.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I was in an Uber and the
Yeah,
gentleman had this huge. It looked like he was a pilot, and
exactly.
you know, and
It's a,
but
yeah, you
No, it's my car. This is how EVs are made. I was really impressed by that actually.
Yeah. Uh,
But don't get. I say don't get rid of the AM radio, and
don't get rid of it.
conspiracy theory behind removing AM from newer vehicles. But I don't think they should eliminate it in these vehicles because AM radio is part of the fabric of our communications channels. I mean, why not?
Absolutely. 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 No. I say no.
I say no too. Well, well, thank you so much. Well, Atibon, it has been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Any last words before we end the program, before I say goodbye?
Keep doing what you're doing. Keep sharing your magic with people. Keep sharing love, and yeah,
Well, thank you.
and
Any
keep
any
kicking ass.
advice? Any advice you'd like to give people who are interested in the arts, who want to become actors like yourself?
Train. You have to train. It's
Yeah,
important that you train. It differs you from the person who's not trained, And there's a certain vocabulary that you need to have, It's like, training in anything, in medicine, in whatever. In
yeah.
Yeah, you have to train and have a passion for it because, I must say, man, it's it's an interesting journey, and it's a marathon, You have to take your time, you have to be patient.
Yeah,
Yeah, but fundamentally, one has to train. So when an opportunity arises, you could take it and run with it.
I like that. That's right. So
Yeah.
train, keep up with it, and that's in anything you do. You know,
In anything, yeah, yeah. You cannot just, there's an expression, fake it till you make it. I don't like it. You
I
know,
yeah,
it promotes mediocrity,
I agree.
and it
Yeah,
promotes laziness. So it's like, oh, fake it. No, just
yeah.
do it right.
Well, because you don't have to fake it if you can perfect it by training.
Exactly.
You don't
Yeah,
think
you
it's
train.
more work to fake it than it is to
Yeah,
really. And when you're genuinely good, when you've perfected your art, whatever that is, you become the art. You become the flower. You become
absolutely,
the reason why you
absolutely.
yes.
Magic happens.
It's yes. You know,
Magic
it's
happens.
absolutely. And and speaking of magic, I think you bring magic to the world with the work that you do, and I thank you for that. Thank you for joining me, Auntie Bon. Thank you
Love you
for being.
so much.
I love you so much. Let me say
Mhm.
goodbye to my guests. I want to thank you all for joining me for another edition of
Thank
EPA
you.
Live. I'm Jeanette Lenoir, and you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And don't forget, this is our American culture. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and help us grow this channel. I would really appreciate it. So thank you so much for joining
Okay.
me. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. Thank you.